Good evening and happy holidays. I'm so excited to talk to you a little bit about Alaska. And in this video, I want to mention some important things to be considering as you think about packing. We leave in 225 days. So there will be 16 of us in our group. We are flying out of Little Rock to Chicago. In Chicago, we will change airlines from American Airlines, which does not fly into Fairbanks, but we'll change and board our Alaskan Air flight to Seattle, and then finally landing in Fairbanks, Alaska. What I love about our flight itinerary, while we do have 3 planes to get on, we are landing in Fairbanks at 8:28 p.m., which is a really nice itinerary. A lot of the flights I was looking at were getting there at midnight and later. The great thing about Princess is no matter what time you land in Alaska, they have guest services there to greet us. So what we'll do is we'll land and we'll head downstairs to get our luggage, and they will have folders with our names in them. And in these folders are going to be luggage tags. They're very organized with how they move our luggage around for us, and so that's quite lovely. And it's going to tag what hotel your luggage should be going to. Guest services will then show us where our hotel shuttle is, and then we'll probably be in our hotel about 10 p.m. That evening, which is going to feel earlier to us. That's 10 p.m. Alaska time. So plenty of time to grab a snack if you want to, and get a shower and get a good night's sleep, and we start our cruise tour the next day. A little bit about luggage. What you're going to want is some type of travel backpack or duffel bag of some sort, a soft-sided bag that does not have wheels. That is because we are going to be traveling on motor coach and train quite a bit, and it's not very conducive. The wheeled, even the rolling carry-on luggage is not conducive to travel on the train or the motor coach. So what's really neat about Princess is you're going to have your duffel bag or backpack or small carry-on that has things like your medication or medical devices or equipment. You're going to have your passport, of course, any valuables there. I'm going to make sure I have a rain jacket, just things that you might need, because that's going to be with you at all times. Your luggage is going to meet you at your hotel. It might actually get to your hotel before you do. It might get there about 3 hours later. So that's why you want to keep things you anticipate needing with you at all times. So that's something to think about. That's a little bit different than other trips I've been on that I wanted to be prepared for and wanted you as well to know about. So as far as expenses go on land, they do accommodate cash, except for the train does not take any cash. And they are set up to take major credit cards. They mention Visa and MasterCard, and so I'm leaning towards using one of those. I want to mention at this point that I don't recommend taking debit cards out of the country. They are not as well protected. Let me put it this way. If somebody steals your debit card and spends the money, they're spending your money, and the bank isn't going to work really hard to get that back for you, to be honest. But if they steal your credit card, they're stealing the bank's money. That's really not your money. And so the bank will work a little harder to get that back. So that's why I always recommend to my travelers to not use their debit card, but to use some form of credit card. And if you don't have a credit card, now would be a great time to go ahead and apply one and just use it for this travel, pay it off, and you can cancel it if you would like to. So we will arrive at our Fairbanks hotel. We'll get a good night's sleep. We won't know what hotel they're reserving for us until about May. Usually about 2 months prior to our trip is when we'll find out which hotel we'll be in. But the next morning, we are going to depart on a 3-hour cruise on a authentic stern wheeler riverboat. And I'm not really sure how these rivers are pronounced, the Chena and the Tanana rivers, but we do a lot on this riverboat. I'm really excited. We see a bush pilot demonstration, a fish wheel demonstration, and also where these two rivers come together. They call it the wedding of the rivers. And we also get a guided, with a guide with an Alaskan native. We take about, they say about 30 minutes inland, and we go to this village where we see native lifestyle. We look at beadwork artists and meet dogs from Susan Butcher's kennels. I guess she's somebody. And then of course it'll take us 30 minutes to get back. Now lunch is not included at that time, so that'll be for you to purchase. You'll have a number of options during that riverboat cruise. After the cruise, we're going to board a motor coach, which is fancy talk for a nice big bus, to leave from that riverboat cruise and go into Denali. And that's going to take almost 3.5 hours. I think it's a 120-mile trip from the riverboat to our lodge. So we'll be staying at the Denali Princess Wilderness Lodge, and we'll have the afternoon to rest, relax, enjoy the lodge itself. You can talk to the guest service desk there at the lodge to see what there is to do, or even get information on some excursions. If you want to book an excursion ahead of time, you would do that on your Princess Cruise Personalizer on Princess Cruises or princess.com. And so I'll show you how to do that too. That evening, so we stay there at the Denali Princess Wilderness Lodge, and in the morning we are going to take, it's about 7:30 a.m. I think, we're going to take a guided trip to Primrose Ridge, which is in Denali Park, and I think this is about a 4.5-hour tour. Now, because of the park regulations, we actually have to take a school bus, so some of us are teachers or former educators, and that will be interesting. So if you've never been on a school bus, there are not restrooms on the bus, but we will have stops about every hour and a half. So I'm sure we'll make good use of those stops. And while we're there, we see some historical cabin, and we watch a short video and look at kind of a museum type deal. And we're exploring the history of Denali while, looking for, looking at the natural history, but also looking at for the animals. That's what I'm going to be doing. So after our bus trip, we're going to get on a motor coach and go from our Denali Lodge to Mount McKinley Lodge. And that's going to take about less than 2.5 hours. And remember, you're only going to have your duffel bag or your tote bag or backpack or whatever, because your luggage is transporting separately. So again, you'll want your rain jacket, your medications, your travel documents, and anything that's, what's the word? You don't want to lose it. So you want to keep that with you. So Friday, it'll be the 17th, we'll arrive at the Mount McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge. And again, we have our evening of leisure, and you can do optional land excursions and talk to a cruise personalizer there at the guest service desk. And the next morning on the 18th, we will have a late rail departure. So we have to go to the train station, which is about 50 miles away from Mount McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge. So about an hour on the bus to the rail station, and then we board our train. And the train ride's going to be about 5.5 hours. And there you can purchase lunch and snacks on the train, and it will leave Talkeetna at 1:45 p.m. And then we'll get to Whittier, which is the port where our cruise ship waiting for us, at 7 p.m. And so what's lovely is, we're going to have our passports with us, of course. We're going to have our travel documents, and they're going to help check us in on the way to the cruise line for easy access to the cruise. We are there at 7 p.m. and the cruise leaves Anchorage or Whittier at 8:30 p.m. and we're on our cruise ship. So exciting. And let's see if I need to say anything about that. Okay. I don't think so. Okay, so that is all happening on the 18th. That's a Saturday when we actually get board the cruise. On Sunday, around 3 p.m., we're arriving to Hubbard Glacier, and it doesn't leave Hubbard Glacier till 8 p.m. And then that evening, we're changing scenery. So while you sleep, the cruise ship is moving, and then we arrive at Glacier National Park at 9:15 Sunday morning, which Glacier National Park, I've heard from so many people, it is one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I've been to some places in the world and they were beautiful, so I'm gonna see if they are telling stories or not. But I'm really excited. That's kind of the highlight of my trip, is this Glacier National Park. So that's on Monday. And then Tuesday, so we'll be there at the Glacier Bay National Park from 9:15 in the morning till 6:15 at night. And I really like that also because that gives us a chance to see the glacier and not be all crowded all the time. It's right there. At 6:15, we leave that area and we start moving towards ports in Alaska. So while we're sleeping, again, the boat's going to move. And at 7 a.m., we port in Skagway, Alaska. And there's so much to do here. And I'm going to actually save that for the next video, all about excursion and options and how to book those and when to do those. So in Skagway, we are there, the boat is there from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So you have the full day to explore Skagway, book excursions, and go on adventures. And then at 8:30 p.m., while we're getting ready to go to bed or whatever, the boat moves, and the next morning we are in Juneau. And we'll arrive at Juneau at 6:30 a.m. and leave at 4 p.m. And then on Thursday, the 23rd, we're at Ketchikan, Alaska, from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Friday, July 24th, is a day at sea where we're traveling towards Vancouver, and we'll arrive in Vancouver actually Saturday morning, July 25th, at 7:30 a.m. Now, our flights don't leave till 6:30 that night, so we should be at the airport ready to go by 4:30. And we have complimentary, well, really, they're in our package. That nothing's complimentary these days, but it will feel complimentary. We've already paid for transfers to the airport, and so we'll be at the airport probably by 10 o'clock. And so we have quite a bit of time where I'm not sure what we'll do. A lot of airports will hold your luggage early, allow you to check your bags in early for a fee, and then you could Uber somewhere if you wanted to in Vancouver. I've got to look at a map and see kind of get my bearings on what I might do. I might just be resting at the airport. I hope not. But I want to see Vancouver a little bit. We have some time to do it, so that's my wish. We'll see what we can do, okay? So our flight leaves Vancouver at, let's see. Let me pull up this information. I thought it was easy to find, and now I can't find it. Let's see. I think it leaves at 6:30, and then we land in Los Angeles. Sorry. So we do fly to Los Angeles. We'll arrive in Los Angeles around 9:30 p.m. LA time, and then we'll leave shortly before midnight. We'll have to go through a quick, we're coming back into the country from Canada, so maybe a passport control there in LA. We are going from LA back to Chicago, and that will be on Air Canada, and then we'll change back onto American Airlines and take the flight back to Little Rock. And so that's kind of our itinerary, to think about a few things. How you're going to pack. Baggage fees are not included in our price, so there will be some baggage fees. I'll get those costs for you before we leave, of course. And then that's if you're going to check a bag, which probably we will do. And so think about packing, thinking about your credit card, which credit card you're going to use for your expenses, and just get excited about Alaska. In our next video, we'll talk more about excursions and looking at your account on princess.com.